Ever wonder what it takes to turn a passion for helping others into a thriving community driven business? Today, we're joined by Helen O'Neill, a physiotherapist who's worked with elite athletes in Canada and now leads Fix, a standout clinic in London. Helen's not just about physical therapy, she's all about collaboration, adapting to her patients' needs, and weaving a bit of spirituality into her approach. If you're curious about the real life journey behind building a wellness practice, you're in the right place. Today, we are sitting down with Helen O'Neill, with founder of Fix out in East London. Welcome, Helen.
Hi.
Glad to have you here. So, I would love to hear about a little about your journey. How can you walk us through your transition from working with elite athletes in Canada to establishing Fix in London?
Sure. I very fortunately got to move and live in Whistler in Canada for 6 years, just as soon as I'd graduated as a physio. So my learning curve in Whistler was really steep. And I initially just stood back and watched my mentors, who were the clinic owners, doing their thing. And I learned my trade, and especially how to talk to the athletes that came in the clinic via them. And that was really important, I think, initially. And then I started to work in the team with the teams, generally the Canadian snowboard team, and traveled with them quite extensively for a couple of years when I was in Canada. And that was amazing. I got to be the physio and work with a massage therapist and a doctor and the strength and conditioning coach and the technical coach. And we all worked together to allow the athlete to perform at the best of their ability. And it was a really special time and it was an amazing experience. So then I moved back to London, and trying to be a physio in London for me was really challenging. I did get a job in a physio clinic, and that was very restrictive for me. So I saw a little gap in the market for a group approach to getting people better or allowing people to compete, even from the recreational athlete all the way up to the elite athlete. So yeah, one day I must have had a couple of gin and tonics and I signed a 10-year lease and I started Fix, and that was in 2013. So my idea was to collate a group of practitioners that supported the person that walked through the door. So that person didn't have to go anywhere else. They were handheld through from the start, through the process of becoming better, and then hopefully becoming stronger and fitter to prevent injuries happen again, and then stamped with a Fix logo and walking out the door. That was
Okay. I'm just curious, what kind of athletes do you see now, or what sort of things are they doing? Is it a commonality or?
It's changed massively. So
Yeah.
2013 Fix was born for people that moved, for athletes, for those that wanted to do couch to 5K or start personal training after babies, or compete in, the age range Ironman in Hawaii. So we had a whole range, and it was because that's all I knew was working with athletes. And that was amazing. And we grew into two clinics and then a movement studio from 2013 to 2020. And then we all know what happened in 2020. So my answer pre 2020 is very different. So if we're talking now, the athletes that we see are still there. They still come through the door. They're very diverse, but also they're very less in the proportion of what comes through the door. We've diversified with our practitioners now. So we see a lot more people in the community that need just general medical assistance, answers, diagnoses, some progressive strengthening, but it's a big, broad range now post COVID.
And then how do you determine like which practitioners to bring under the whole Fix umbrella, and especially now with lots of changes and different things that, different needs?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's all about the needs of the person walking through the door. I was aiming to be, I suppose, part of the sports physiotherapy niche pre-COVID, and that would be fine. However, the need for my team now to provide community healthcare is so high. You can't deny it. People aren't able to get what they need from the NHS right now. I call it the NHS overflow. We're getting a lot of people walking through the door with diverse needs. So the way that I bring people on is by chatting to my patients, my soon to be patients. I offer a 10-minute assessment phone call where we chat through their needs. And it's actually via that I get a lot of information about what people need. And generally we can cover it. But if I hear a few things recently, there's a lot of questions regarding childhood milestones, that my baby's not crawling, I don't think they're walking in time, etc. So now we have a pediatric osteopath on board. So it's the ability to listen to what people need and the joy of being able to bring the practitioners on board and move with the times.
Okay. So when you have, how big is your team?
Right now it's about 20.
20, whoa, 22. Okay. And what are maybe some qualities that you look for? So you talk about like what are the patient's needs and just keeping that ear open of like what are people asking, what's coming up, what are,
Yeah.
and when it kind of going back to building the team or continuing, what are you looking for?
Yeah, hiring is really challenging. I think, again, there's a big pre-COVID, post-COVID thing. We had a big international proportion of our team, and now a lot of them went home. And so we're just starting to see international practitioners come back, which is nice. The main theme that runs throughout the whole of the fixed practitioning team and the fixed philosophy is whether you've got the fix factor. And that fix factor is like the X factor. It's the thing that you can't trained to be, but it's the ability to see the bigger picture, do your job, but also be able to work as part of a team and be happy with what you can do for the patient or what you can provide for the patient, but also be happy to refer onwards to other team members to be better, quicker for the patient, to provide a better service. So the people I look for are those that are willing and happy to give their patients away. And that is sometimes a hard thing in London, especially when you're trying to build caseloads, is you see someone once or twice and then you give them away. But with that, you get people obviously when you're needed for their needs. So that's what we look for when I'm
Oh,
hiring.
okay. And then how do you go about like fostering that sort of collaboration rather than this competition or like, oh, I'm going to lose my patient? I mean, you're not losing them per se. I mean, it's like they're still here. We're still helping them. We're just trying to find the best path. But
Yeah.
so, yeah, tell me more about that.
Yeah, I think when people join the team as a practitioner, there is a big impetus for them to learn the skill sets of all the team. So really get to know them, trade with them, understand how they do what they do, and how best they could treat potentially their clients. Some personalities work better into referring with other personalities, personality for the patient, I mean, um, and for the therapist. But
Sure.
you've got your A-type athlete that's going to be very much associated with someone, and then you've got someone that's very anxious with headaches, might be very often put to a different person. Eventually, then that builds some trust, and then you build confidence in your team. And I think once you've got that trust and confidence, that interreferral is a no-brainer. It becomes the thing that you're quite happy to do because the patient gets better quicker.
And I imagine that this team effort too, it's like they're leaning on each other about I've got this patient, they're experiencing this or that, or they're trying to find I mean, everybody's just trying to find the best path, right?
We have get-togethers, CPD afternoons, and get-togethers where sometimes we cover a case study. We do say to our patients at the beginning with their sign off, with their consent, that we will talk about you behind your back. Well, we will talk about if we can't solve it, then we'll ask. And the way that
Love that.
for me, it's really important to have a TCM on the team. So the Eastern philosophy of medicine, because the approach to, I think everybody's got their own ability to get into somebody therapeutically and different access points for different people at different stages of rehab or different needs. But the TCM on top of what we learn in the medical world or in our healthcare training, it's so enlightening and it makes so much sense to the multi-layer issues that are now coming through the door. We see a lot of musculoskeletal pain, but now compounded with PTSD, post-COVID issues, mental health, and having that Eastern approach to accessing the nervous system, then on top of therapeutic movement, makes the work just kind of stick, actually. Yeah, it's
Okay.
great.
I love it. Thank you. Okay, and then tell me maybe like how does your spiritual approach influence your business decisions and team dynamics?
It's a good question. I suppose it's not very business-like at all, but the big thing that I've realized in the 12 years I've been running a business is that if you really, really clench that frontal lobe and overthink or trying to think it through, I mean, obviously you've got to do a lot of thinking, a lot of spreadsheets, a lot of maths. But if you really want to go somewhere and you're just clenching, then it doesn't work. It won't happen. A lot of the time I think about something and I can feel myself doing that, and I'll just back off, give it a break for a bit, and then have more conversations, meet some different people, chat it through with random, can I ask you this? Can I ask you this? And I think going around it that way, suddenly there's a CV for someone that I've been thinking should join the team, just dropping into the inbox. Oh, I just saw your website. I thought I'd contact you to see if you've got any spaces in the team. That way has been working and still works. It really does. I think that I'm very intuitive, and I do use my intuition and sit regularly to meditate, I suppose, and meditate on a lot of big decisions, which has been very helpful over the last 5 years, especially from 2020 to 23. There was a lot of yucky decisions, really business saving decisions that had to be made that affected people's livelihoods. So that was challenging, but the ability just to sit and let it go allowed me to, I suppose, make those decisions without, I don't know what the word is, with ease or with grace, I suppose. But then now I suppose I've put myself, or managed to get myself, on a business course last year, which was amazing. And my spiritual approach very often has to now go to one side, and my business approach has to sit next to it. So I'm now working out how to run a business and integrating my spiritual approach to actually becoming a hard-nosed businesswoman.
Love it. All right. What advice would you give maybe other wellness entrepreneurs who are struggling with the gray area of between the sort of the clinical treatment and sort of complete recovery services?
So advice would be to really know what your skill set is, not so much to specialize. I think initially, if learn your trade, learn a broad trade, whatever it is, but then know what you enjoy and know what person you enjoy seeing the most, and see a lot of them for years, and then grow your ability to do your job well, but know that your niche and your skill set is this big, and the need for someone's therapeutic approach is generally a lot bigger, and invite other people into your life to assist you, and don't try and do it all, because that's really hard work. And also, I don't think it's the best approach to getting people all they need.
Okay. Okay. Great. Tell the audience how they can reach you. Are they share your website or?
Yeah, so the website is fixlondon.co.uk, and we are in the East Village in Stratford, which is the old Olympic village from the London 2012 Olympic Games. So it's really easy to get to from central London or from all over. It's a super lovely clinic, and we welcome you all to come and visit.
Excellent. All right. Thank you so much for this, Helen. I really, really appreciate it.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of The Wellness Growth Show. If today's conversation sparks something for you, hit subscribe so you don't miss the stories, strategies, and insights from the front lines of wellness innovation. If you're a founder, operator, or health leader exploring growth into institutional markets and have a story worth telling, I'd love to hear from you. Reach out directly on LinkedIn or YouTube. And if you found this valuable, share it with a peer or post it online. You never know who needs to hear it. Until next time, stay well, keep moving, and keep building what matters.